What's up guys, I am Owen Scott Poole. I hope you all are doing well today. I am here to do a review of the Panasonic Leica 25mm f1.4 prime lens. Now this is the most affordable of the Panasonic Leica co-branded lenses. It makes a few compromises in terms of build quality and weather sealing in comparison to other high-end Micro Four Thirds lenses like the Olympus Pro series, which is actually on the camera filming me right now, and the other co-branded Leica lenses. But I think should you pick this thing up, you're gonna potentially get some great stuff with it. Let's start with those build quality downsides first. So this has a mostly plastic construction aside from the lens mount, which is metal. Now this lens doesn't feel cheap to me by any means, but it's not as robust as some of the more high-end lenses. And it doesn't have any weather sealing, so if you're looking to do some long time lapses in some less than ideal weather with your weather sealed body, you're gonna have to find something else. Like most Micro Four Thirds prime lenses, this thing is pretty lightweight and compact. It is a bit bigger and heavier than the regular Lumix 25mm, but I see that being a pretty negligible difference. This is an easy walk around lens. To me, the most annoying thing about the build of this lens is actually the lens hood. You can see that it's rectangular, so it's not actually reversible. So you're gonna have to either store it like this or find a separate place for it in your bag. Kind of annoying, but not a deal breaker. Let's talk about the handling of this lens now. I personally shoot a lot of photos and a lot of video, and this lens is definitely more on the photo-oriented side. The biggest issue in shooting video is actually the focus ring. Now it's plenty big and smooth, it's got a nice rubber grip, that's not the issue. The issue is how far you have to throw it to actually rack focus. So you're gonna have to do a lot of practicing to get a nice smooth focus from one subject to the other. It's a lot of work and it's definitely not my favorite thing in the world. It is focused by wire like pretty much all the other Lumix lenses. I personally found the focusing to be easier on something like the 12 to 35mm Lumix lens than this thing. It's just not great. If you're doing run and gun video where you're just relying on the autofocus, it should do just fine, but if you primarily shoot manual, you're probably gonna wanna look elsewhere. Handling for photos, on the other hand, is a completely different story. The autofocus is fast, smooth, silent, and accurate. Walking around taking photos on the street with this thing is just a lot of fun, and the 50mm equivalent focal length never goes out of style. One downside to this lens in comparison to other Lumix lenses is its lack of image stabilization. Now, if you're using an image stabilized body like the G9 or the GH5, not that big a deal, but you're gonna have a hard time with shaky video or night photography where you can't really lower that shutter speed and still get sharp photos. But that leads me to probably the most appealing part of this lens, which is its 1.4 maximum aperture. Since low light shooting is one of the big downsides of the entire Micro Four Thirds system, having those extra stops of light is really nice to have. When I'm shooting at night, I'm able to have it completely wide open and keep those ISO levels down to minimize on noise. Plus, the shallow depth of field and bokeh qualities of this lens is really good. I find the character of the blurred backgrounds to look really nice, and they're pretty easy to achieve with that 1.4 aperture, and the fact that its minimum focus distance is really good as well. So you're gonna be able to get really close to your subject and get that super bokeh action that everybody loves. In terms of raw image quality, this is one of the nicest lenses I've ever used at this price point. They're totally sharp, even wide open at f1.4, and the images tend to have a lot of nice natural contrast. I can plug my SD card into my computer, look at the images, and never feel like I have to do that much post-processing. Going from the cheap Lumix 14mm f2.5 lens to this guy was just night and day. Now it obviously goes without saying that your camera and lens combo is not gonna make your images good or bad. That's up to you, but it's really nice to just be able to click that shutter button and feel like you are probably gonna get a decent photo out of it. In short, yeah, I do really enjoy this lens. But the question is it gonna be worth the money to you? And that's gonna depend. I pretty much buy all of my gear used. I think I bought this thing for about 350 bucks on a used camera website. Keep in mind, this is the original version of this lens. They have a Mark II version that's much more expensive. If you're buying that one brand new, I think it's like 700 bucks. I'm not totally sure that's gonna be worth that price tag, but if you can find the original model used for somewhere between 300 and 400 bucks, might be a good option for you. For photographers who enjoy using prime lenses, you're not really gonna find a better option for the Micro Four Thirds format in this price range. The Olympus 25mm Pro line is just crazy expensive, hence why I don't have one. But if you mostly shoot video, I can't really recommend this lens. I think you will be able to get some good images out of it, but unless you're gonna be relying on autofocus the entire time, the manual focusing is just so unreliable. I know most Micro Four Thirds video shooters generally use adapted glass anyway, but if you're trying to go native, I'd probably look elsewhere like that Olympus Pro line, which I'll be doing a review of later on. But have you ever used this lens? What do you think about it? Is it overrated, underrated? Let me know down below in the comments. And if there's anything I didn't mention that you want to know the answer to, write me down below. Also, I'll see if I have an answer for you. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. Lots of good content coming down the pipeline, and see you next time.